Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back, everyone. Going to talk about two things today that have a major impact on your life. And I'm not psychic. I'm not going out on a limb here. I just know we all deal with these two things. The first one is fear. How to overcome that and move your life forward, because it's probably crippling you in many areas of development, of the life you truly feel you should be living. And we're also going to talk about overcoming conflict. A lot of times there's things that pop up in our lives and they marinate out there. We don't deal with them, especially with the holidays coming up. Two very important topics. And that's by way of a gentleman that helps people overcome both of these and much more. He is the founder and director of Life Coaching and Empowerment, LLC. He's got a wonderful book out where some of this content today lives in a wonderful place. Dr. John Carney is back with us on the program. Hey, John, how you doing?
Good, Steve. How are you, sir?
Doing well. The fear thing, let's work on that now. It is, in my estimation, everything. If you think about your daily day, and if you think, I've got things mastered, you probably have some fears popping up from time to time, or we have some major fears that cripple us. Is this what you hear from a lot of people that you work with?
Oh my gosh, a perfect question, my friend. It's like, everybody I've spoke to, all my coaching clients this week, in one way or another, at the root of every single one of their dilemmas, whether it's getting a project taken care of, stopping an addiction, relationship stuff, hurdles that they can't overcome, completely hopeless situations, or mildly irritating. For whatever reason, I have just gone to the deepest of levels with every one of them this week in particular, and found that there is a fear of some kind if they slow down long enough to get real with their deeper self. And by doing so, I'm telling you, in every single, I think more so than usual, in every single situation or session, it's like people are looking at me like this going, and they're like, I had no idea, but you know what? I didn't have to convince them of a thing. Every single one of them came up going, you're so right. At the deepest level, at the very fulcrum of it all, it is my biggest problem to one degree or another. Every single thing spawns off of it.
So you identified something I find impactful, pretty amazing, in that when you have fear, and I also want to, as fear also known as doubt, before I even get to that full question, it just popped in my head. Are they very similar?
That's really good, because at the initial root that leads us to fear, a stronghold of fear, is is the first problem in human creation, in my opinion, which was doubt and unbelief. And so to some degree, on a deepest of levels, if I'm doubting things, that was my beginning entrance door for me not to have the solution for fear.
Processing that, having that solution for fear. Does the solution start with what you just said, in that take the time to process, the quiet time? A lot of times we get caught up of like, worried about this. How's that going to go? I don't know if I'm making the right choice. To just sit with it and listen from inside to get the answer.
That's awesome, brother. It's like when we get centered, focused, balanced, real with ourselves. But here's the key: deeply, like you're saying, doesn't it take time? It really takes time. It might be just 5 minutes. If we just have 5 minutes during the day, or a deeper reflection when we're at home or whatever, it's like, if we can make ourselves slow down long enough to go down inside, trip in, as I call it a trip in, and we go down inside and we find way below the layers. Now, in these sessions all week long, I had to stop people. I do it respectfully, but I had to stop them and divert them a bit, because Do you know what? 90% of us, 90% of the time, we want to focus on that out there and then and externally, or an agenda, an idea, and I want to fix something, as opposed to how do I feel deeply in the here inside of me, real, and where maybe I'm driven, I'm overcompensating subconsciously, primarily, of course. I'm overcompensating because I'm what? I'm running from a fear of what? A myriad of things, but primarily a fear of failure leads to performance orientation. A fear of rejection leads to people pleasing, codependency. Whatever the fear of abandonment, one of the biggest ones is fear of intimacy on a deepest of levels, and yet we need it so badly. And so fear of rejection, fear of failure keeps us so overcompensatingly driven, we can't slow down to be able to deeply hear ourselves where it counts.
I'll share with you. I had to make a decision, and I made it today. I haven't officially made it, but I know the answer. And it was choice A, choice B. Nothing major, but I want to make the right choice. And I had a little bit of a fear of, if I pick choice A, what's going to happen? Is that the best? And choice B, is that the best? And I sat with it for a couple of days in quiet. Again, nothing major. And I woke up this morning, and about an hour after that, it popped in my head, and I'm like, choice B. That's the one. That's the best choice. Weighing it all out. But I sat with it, and I was quiet with it.
That's right. You came to a place of peace, didn't you?
After making that decision, I feel better, because the first decision was choice A. I just felt like restless with it. I could do it. It'll be all right. And then I thought choice B, that's the more comfortable one. But I only heard that after sitting with it. And I even, call it meditation, but I think deeper right before bed. I'll be laying in bed, have a little light on, close my eyes. Dog was hanging out there, and I'm just like, what do you got? What do we got going on there? And I guess I slept on it. Maybe that's why they call it that. And woke up, and I was like, yeah. And I'm walking in here today. Choice B. Yeah. Ooh, that feels good. Choice B. And there's some slight repercussion in choice B, but it is the better choice. But I sat with it. I gave it time. I listened to what was within.
Listen.
Yeah.
You listen. What a huge word. Oh my goodness. What a huge word. Are you listening? Are you listening? Are you listening to yourself deeply? Are you listening to someone else if it's between you and another person? Are you really? Yeah, of course I'm listening. Really? Seriously? And if it's inside, it's like, oh my goodness, what do we have to do to find that orientation of peace down inside? And it is listening. Now, just real quick before we leave this topic, is the opposite of fear is trust, or another word for that in the spiritual realm is faith. It's the same word in the soulish realm. So fear, the opposite of that is trust. So what do we have to do to be able to get to the place where we can deeply listen? Well, we got to trust our hearing ability. The opposite of fear, running, driven, overcompensation, is resting, peace, listening. And it begins with the ability to trust deeply or have faith, maybe even to move out in something where we sow a seed of action and we have momentum going, and then it starts following us. But it takes that initial trust.
Now, when you say trust, let's put, before we move on, and we're going to talk about resolving conflicts in a moment, best way to do that. When we talk about that trust and that faith, is it really starting with oneself, trusting in yourself, having faith in yourself? And or are we talking about just trusting in the universe? Trust, having that faith?
I think a good question. I think it's kind of both. I don't know that you can do one without the other. It's mutually exclusive. I really do think it's getting in tune and connected deeply with inside yourself, which means I trust the ability to listen to myself. I trust the ability to hear. with all the noise and chaos of the universe, of whatever, of my life, of the input stimulus, can I hear what's coming from inside? More, is it bad pizza? Is it gas? Is it a bad movie? Is it, no.
Right.
What is it? What is it? What am I listening to? What's bubbling up, And so, to listen as well as to the Lord or the universe or whatever, a higher power or whatever it is, are we able to listen clearly to something more powerful than we are, and or our deeper self, which is more powerful than the hyperlogic, tangential, superficial? What does it take to listen? Are we willing to focus? Are we willing to go there,
Well, therein lies, the challenge when the logic comes in. Because, I could, choice B, that one came to me. Now, if I start adding logic to it, start thinking deeper. Oh, but what if, blah, 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 blah. No, I got the answer. And I'm confident that's the right answer. And leave it be. Leave it be because it came from within. And I believe we all have the answers. It's inside. You have to hear it. Do you feel that it's resilience as well? And what do I mean by that? When you look back at your life, I overcame that. I did that. How the heck did I do that? Look at that. Remember when that happened? And you think to yourself, I got past that. This is a walk in the park. And I have a friend, met him like in the last 6 months, and we're kind of on the same page. And and he's a lot younger than I am. And we talk about, man, we're blanking, fill in that word, warriors. What the heck we got through all that. I could do this over here. No problem. Faith.
I love that word warrior because you know what? Before you even said that, I was thinking, what is the number one reason why we're on this earth? It's really not, this is secondary, procreation. It's really not getting our mission in life, our purpose in life accomplished. No, that's secondary, tertiary. The primary reason we're on this earth is to overcome, is to be an overcomer. And so if we believe in an afterlife, do you know, other than relationships, that's really the only thing we're taking to heaven or whatever, is what we have overcome. And so in life, what's your efficiency? What's your effectiveness? Being from my engineering days, it's all about efficiency. So it's like, what is the efficiency and the effectiveness of your overcoming sonship, or the ability to overcome the different things that have been thrown at you, however good, bad, or ugly? What did you do? How were you able to overcome? And it's exactly what you're saying. It's kind of another word for resilience, bouncing back, being able to overcome, and we capitalize on that. We do focus on that, and it really helps give us that added strength to be able to go, belief, right? Trust. I can, because I did.
I look at that, and side note, and I'm still figuring this out like all of us. I've often heard that we're here for two reasons: to learn, to teach, to learn, to teach. I've never heard the overcome. That almost sounds like it's kind of harsh. No, that's not fun. I thought the universe supports and wants the best for us. And now I got to put up with all of this other stuff to get through this other stuff. It's overcoming things doesn't sound like fun.
A good point. And I would say, well, of course, this comes from my particular persuasion or background, but it's not in our own strength. And that's the beauty, because if it's not in just our own strength, then there's a mandate there that we learn to, trust.
You hear people, and we're not tying this into a religion, but
right.
whatever your beliefs are, hear people say, God is testing me, or the universe is putting me to the test to overcome. It almost sounds like it's a little bit like that.
Yeah, it sounds kind of daunting. It sounds almost oppressive. It's
daunting is a great word. That's a great word there.
It's all this work I got to do.
Yeah.
No, because you see, in the middle of our overcomingness, our goal is to find rest.
Peace.
It's to find, and that's exactly where I was going, an enormous degree of peace in the midst of whatever we're having to overcome. That's the ticket.
Yeah. Something just crystallized for me. I said, we're here to learn, teach, right? How can you teach if you haven't overcome something? Because all the stuff that I teach others or I suggest, and I'm in a men's group and they made me the shaman and I share information. I got it from people like you. So I learned, and also life's challenges. Yeah, man, I went through something similar, and here's how I got through. So if life was just this, how could you even teach it?
No. That's right.
There would be nothing.
Right.
There'd be nothing.
That's right.
There would be nothing.
Yeah. We're going to have those peaks and valleys. We're going to have those gullies. You better believe it, brother.
Interesting. Part of those is conflict resolution. And this is in chapter 7 of your book, right?
Yeah, you really are a pro at segue. So, yes, that's exactly right.
The universe just threw that to me. Trust me.
Yes, right. Yeah, you have a nice universe. So, it's like chapter 7, exactly right. So, conflict resolution equals relationship success. It is our main tool for overcoming, because most things, to one degree or another, throw conflict at us. You were talking about another word for it, being torn, or a double-minded man is unstable in all of his way. Okay, so a lot of us are torn depending on our personality type, temperament type, more so than another. But we're torn a lot, very small, very large, whatever, to some degree. What do we do with that tornness? Well, that's a conflict. It's a conflict to be what? Overcome. And so how do we overcome? Trust. Well, how do we trust? Well, do we dare to trust as we walk through a relationship? So, yeah, it all ties in together. And let me just give you some granular details if people are ready with pen and paper out there.
Funny you should say that. Guess what I have right here? And I was ready to write it down.
That's right. That's right. So I'm actually going to fly. Most people might want to get this recording, listen to it again or whatever, but I'm going to fly and cover some things in detail. Then I'm going to give you the quintessential answer on how to take care of any interpersonal conflict in the moment. So before I get there, if we have a conflict between folks, there's confrontation necessary. So there is a term or a verse in an ancient text, and that is two things: care enough to confront and speak the truth in love or respect. Okay, so here are some key pointers. Confront as soon as you have the right time and place. Real estate is location, location, location. Relationships are timing, timing, timing. So confront as soon as you have the right time and place. Now, I can go into greater detail. My book goes into greater detail on all these, but next, sure. Give the person the benefit of the doubt and assume the best. Well, why should I? I'll tell you what, they just, in one way or another, dare to trust somewhere, somehow. So give the person the benefit of the doubt and assume the best. Next, address the wrong action, not the person. Don't attack the person. I'm concerned because I have not seen you at our group for a long time, instead of, you're so lazy because you keep making excuses. So it's about addressing the
right. I see that. You're lazy. I've learned to pilot on facts. The fact is, this was not done. That was not done. It's irrelevant that the person is lazy. They can figure that out for themselves. So I see what you're saying. Don't address that.
That's right. Confront only what the person can change. Keep the issue at hand and clear in front of the conversation. Next, affirm him or her as a person and or friend. Affirm them. Encourage them somehow. Next, use I statements and speak from your perspective instead of assuming what you think is going on. Next, avoid sarcasm if at all possible. Avoid sarcasm. Next, avoid absolute words, extremisms, such as always or never. You never or you always, you've got to stay away from those if at all possible. Also, if appropriate, tell the person how you feel about what was done wrong and how the behavior has affected you personally. I felt hurt when you called me a moron. Be patient and stay in control of your emotions. And last of all, give the person a clear game plan to fix the problem if you can arrive at it ahead of time or in the process of the moment. Now, another thing is also you can Google rules to fair fighting, and I have my people do it. And a number of my people came up with a list of 10, 20, 50. A few years ago, I had a couple that came up with 150. So, but you can really go through those, and they are so powerful. Rules to fair fighting. But anyway, so that's kind of a nutshell right there to begin. And then if we have to, I don't know how we're doing on time, but
got about 2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay.
Ish.
Well, let me just say this real quick.
Sure.
Here's what I'd suggest they say. It's a two-way street. So I feel, put in feeling words, whenever, state the situation, and I'd like, state what you want to see done, and then say, how do you feel about that? B, the other person would say, okay, what I'm hearing you say is so-and-so. Is that correct or not? And then lastly, go back to person A, either, yes, that is correct. How do you feel about it? Or no, let me clarify further. And that little tennis match, that little back and forth is perfect. And you can do it cyclically to spiral down to an ultimate solution with every, I don't care how heated, conflict.
Wow. That's powerful stuff. And I really mean that. That just illustrates how great your book is. And I mean that. Wow. And the sarcasm part that you said to leave out, I mean, it's somewhat rhetorical, but we do it. Sometimes we do it to try and lighten the situation, but all we're doing is taking gasoline and putting it on the fire by doing that.
That's right. That's right.
Wow. I love that we're talking about feelings. This is how I feel. And you're also acknowledging how the other person feels about what you presented. So you give them the opportunity to do that, which is powerful. What do people want? To be heard. Now you're allowing them to be heard based on what your feelings are. Really cool.
Absolutely.
Wow. What's the name of the book again, John?
Heal Your Soul, ... permanently. Heal Your Soul Permanently is how you can find it on Amazon. There's a subtitle, don't need to find it, but Be Set Free from Depression, Anxiety, Codependency, and More. And it's found on Amazon, hardback, paperback, ebook. Yeah.
Great stuff. And I have to tell you that, the book is great. Even this chapter 7 of what it presents and how we can deal with it. We all deal with conflicts all the time. Awesome. If somebody's looking to, I say they need some help, from you one-on-one, and you can do a lot virtually. How do they find you, John?
Sure. They can contact me at my email, John, JOHNWC, John WC 3663 @gmail.com, or they can go to my website, www.johncarney, CARNEY, johncarneycoaching.com, johncarneycoaching.com.
I love the way you present things in a very easy to understand fashion, but also in reality. Like what you just said, etched in my brain, and I'll use that next time. It's, definitely brush up using the book, but just those couple of points, if we keep them in mind, but you make it very clear and simple for us to use, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. Like you make it easy to talk to.
Oh, well, it's not me. John, thank you so much. Appreciate you being here, and appreciate all the insight and information during these podcasts, and looking forward when we get a chance to get together sometime in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Steve.
Thank you. We'll be right back. Ready to unlock your full potential? John Carney, owner of Life Coaching and Empowerment, LLC, offers personalized coaching to help you break through barriers and create lasting change. Take the first step toward transformation today. Call 218-608-5900 or visit johncarneycoaching.com or humblecoaching.com.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
yeah,
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.